welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as yours, but hey, it's something. It feels like forever since I did one of these, even though I say this because I recorded the Ian Schlockman interview. For those who haven't seen it, it's on my channel. Look for the one with the man in the thumbnail in the most recent video with the man in the thumbnail. That's the one on the title that actually says Ian Schlockman interview. You know, I think that might be the one you're looking for. But anyways, I recorded that like a day after I recorded the last podcast, so it technically has been forever since I just sat down and did one of these. And, you know, I like doing these. So let's not drag this out any longer. Let's get into the big news before we get into the topic of the video. First, the first big news story comes from my home state of North Carolina. Judge denies Mark Harris request to certify his win despite election fraud investigation. Raleigh, the state's investigation into alleged election fraud by the Mark Harris campaign will continue, a judge ruled Tuesday morning. Harris is the Republican candidate who appeared to narrowly win an election in North Carolina's 9th district seat in the U.S. House of Representatives in the 2018 elections, but the state has not certified his victory due to an ongoing investigation into alleged fraud allegations related to mail-in absentee ballots. Harris and his legal team had asked Wake County Superior Court Judge Paul Ridgway in order to certify the results, despite the investigation, and then they said, nope. So, there's this huge fraud allegation that's been going on ever since November, and we still haven't seated someone in North Carolina District 9. At this point, I mean, honestly, at this point, if there's so much investigation, why not just do a recount? Not just a recount, but like, why not just do another election? At this point, just do another special election. And in North Carolina, we currently have a new law that says that if this election is ruled to be null and void, then we have another primary as well. So the guy who was running in the Democratic nomination that lost to Blue Dog Democrat Dan McCready actually has the chance to run again. The same thing happened a similar thing happened in Pennsylvania, where a guy just, I think I went over this in the last episode, but a guy just resigned from his Pennsylvania seat, and they're holding a re-election for him. Well, they're not holding a re-election for the representative, but they're, running they're doing a special election to get a new guy in the seat. But anyways, that probably isn't the bigger story. The bigger story is this. Supreme Court allows transgender military ban to go into effect. The Supreme Court allowed President Donald Trump's transgender military ban to go into effect on Tuesday, dealing a blow to LGBT activists who called the ban cruel and irrational. In an unsigned 5-4 order, the justices took no stance into the legality of the ban, first proposed in a surprise tweet by Trump in 2017. But Tuesday's action clears the way for it to take effect while lower courts hear additional arguments. The 4 liberal justices objected to allowing the administration's policy banning most transgender people from serving in the military to go into effect. Blah, 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 blah. Kavanaugh also voted yes, da, da, da. We all know how this was gonna go. I mean, especially since Kavanaugh literally just got on the court. I mean, not just got on the court, but got on the court. It was gonna happen sooner or later. I guarantee you there's a conservative woman right now that's getting her 16-year-old daughter pregnant just so they can do another abortion case to be like, well, I guess no more Roe v. Wade, I guess. Especially, and even we just had like the 90th anniversary of Roe v. Wade. But that's just, it's inevitable at this point. We're just counting the seconds until it happens. Because if the court decides. Courts change their decisions all the time. Courts decided a long time ago separate but equal was okay, but then 20 years later they were like, actually no, separate but equal isn't that good of an idea because it's not going to be equal, you stupid idiots. But anyways, here's another big story. Indicting Roger Stone, Mueller shows link between Trump campaign and WikiLeaks. The special counsel, Robert S. Mueller III, revealed on Friday that the most direct link yet to parallel effects to the Trump campaign to WikiLeaks to damage Hillary Clinton during the 2016 election using Democratic Party material stolen by Russians. A top Trump campaign official dispatched Roger J. Stone Jr., a longtime advisor to President Trump, to get information from WikiLeaks about the thousands of hacked Democratic emails, according to an indictment. The effort began weeks after the Democratic Party officials publicly accused Russian intelligence operatives to the theft, which was a part of Moscow's broad campaign to sabotage the 2016 presidential race. The indictment made no mention of whether Mr. Trump played a role in the coordination, though Mr. Mueller did leave a curious clue on about how high in the campaign effort it was reached. A senior campaign official was directed by an unnamed person to contact Mr. Stone about additional WikiLeaks releases that might damage the Clinton campaign, according to the court document. In an indictment filed with the colorful details of calendus meanings, word, I don't know, angry texts, and even a reference to The Godfather Part 2, Mr. Stone was charged with 7 counts, including obstruction, making false statements, and witness tampering. Mr. Mueller did not say that Mr. Stone's interactions with WikiLeaks were illegal, nor that the Trump campaign engaged in criminal conspiracy with the organization. And they even include this little graph that says Steve Bannon asked Stone about Assange's plan. Trump was blah 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 blah. It basically has this little chart that it's like, oh, Russian hackers stole Democratic, Russian hackers. Who? I mean, I'm not in the whole conspiracy dump. I'm not gonna say Seth Rich did it, though I will be skeptical of some things about the Seth Rich case. I am just saying that they still haven't, it seems that a lot of the stuff that they're arresting Trump over in the, arresting Trump officials over in the Russia, quote-unquote, investigation, seem to have little to do with actual Russia. And even if they do have connections with Russia, it seems to be some rogue Russian group. Not actually by Putin. I mean, it seems very likely that, I don't know, because they still for some reason, whenever they make these news stories, they always seem to make these things so complicated and so vague. Trump may not have the Russian hackers who have yet to be named, blah, 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 blah. If you have the Russian hackers that did it, tell me who they are. I'd like to know. It just doesn't seem like 100% is what I'm saying. Speaking of Donald Trump, Trump caves on shutdown, threatens to go around Congress to get his wall. President Trump on Friday agreed to temporarily end the government shutdown without any guarantee of more money for his border wall after the 5-week funding lapse has started to significantly hobble government operations. We have reached a deal to end the shutdown and reopen the federal government, Trump said at the White House. Trump said that he could agree to open the shuttered parts of the government through February 15th, a move that will let hundreds and thousands of government employees finally get paid. But Trump also hinted that Congress can't pass legislation funding his border wall. By the middle of next month, he would be forced to declare a national emergency at the border. That move would let Trump spend money on emergency funds to build parts of his wall, although it is expected to draw a legal challenge. So, yeah. I was thinking, who was going to cave first? Was it going to be Nancy Pelosi, or was it going to be Donald Trump? Because both of those people are really good at caving. I was like, who's going to cave? Is it the Democrats, or is it Trump? Who's gonna cave? Who's gonna cave? Who's gonna cave? Trump, you won. But due to the fact that Trump has technically more power, he can just go around them. He was like, I wanted to give you the chance to do this by, any means necessary, but now we gotta do it by force. Alright, I'll tell you that much, folks. I always say, I'll tell you that much, folks, whenever I do a Trump impression. It's really weird. But anyways, a story from outside of the country. Gene Willis, gay Brazilian politician, will not return over death threats. A gay Brazilian politician has said that he will not return to the country after receiving death threats Gene Willis, one of the country's few openly gay congressmen, told a newspaper that he's powerless and his reputation was destroyed by lies. He has said violence in Brazil has worsened since the election of far-right President Jair Bolsonaro last year. Mr. Bolsonaro has vowed to tackle corruption and crime, but has also made a racist and homophobic remarks. However, in his inauguration speech earlier this month, he promised to build a society without discrimination or division. Wow. And Mr. Willis was also part of a political party called the Party of Socialism and Liberty. Said that he would be replaced in Congress by David Miranda, a member of the Rio de Janeiro City Council who is also openly gay and married to... Whoa, hold on. Glenn Greenwald's husband is going to be replacing Mr. Willis? Hi. This is... Whoa. Boy, David Miranda's got guts. I mean, I guess good luck to him. I didn't expect to have somewhat good news. I hope him and Glenn have a prosperous time in Brazil, despite the fact that, you know, they're not necessarily welcome there anymore. But then again, many people don't welcome Glenn Greenwald here, so what's the difference? But anyways, now let's go on to a segment that's kind of new, kind of old. I guess this is going to be the first time I give it a name, but it's something like 2020 presidential update or something like that. Like 2020 update. And then I'll say some additions and dropouts of the 2020 presidential race. You know, it'll be more frequent, and I might even give it a little jingle. But pretty much this is just where I'm going to say some people that have dropped out of the 2020 presidential race and all the people who've joined in the 2020 presidential race since the last episode. And oh boy, we have a couple. Kirsten Gillibrand enters the Democratic nomination. She's been a blue dog for her entire House career, and then was like, oh, now I'm going to shift to the left because I'm a member of the Senate now, blah, 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 blah. I don't believe you. That just makes me instantly not believe you. If you literally go from, I am the super duper conservative guy to, I'm now the super far leftist, I immediately don't agree with you. I immediately think that you're lying. So, I ain't gonna be voting for her anytime soon. Kamala Harris also enters the 2020 Democratic nomination for president. Now, this is a bigger announcement because Kamala Harris can kind of be called a progressive. I say kind of because she's, got some spunk, I guess. She's endorsed Medicare for All, but these are positions that have come out after her run for Senate, not during her run for Senate, which would be a little more believable, or before her run for Senate, which would be even more believable. If you have been endorsing Medicare for All since yesterday, it's not really an improvement. Now, if you've been saying it since the dawn of time, then that's a good thing, because we actually know you've got a history with this exact position. If Dennis Kucinich ran for president in 2020, he could just say, I supported single payer for a long time. And when Bernie says, I support single payer, it's because he actually supports single payer. Another person who has just entered the presidential race is Pete Buttigieg. He's the mayor of an Indiana city. South Bend is the name of the city. He hasn't really given us a platform, and neither has Kamala Harris, and neither has Kirsten Gillibrand. I only have to go off previous positions they've espoused, and unfortunately, Pete Buttigieg, he does not have that luxury, because he does not have a position where he could say, I support Medicare for All, because he was a freaking mayor last time. Wow, you were a mayor. You get to say, I support fixing a pothole. Oh my gosh, bro. You got me. Yeah, that's great. But what about Medicare for All? Great, just wow. Another candidate that has announced that they are exploring a run for president is Dario Hunter, who's running for the Green Party nomination. In fact, keep a note on Green Party. They might be having something special on my channel. It may or may not be. I don't know. It could happen. Maybe it won't. But if it happens, you'll like it. I guarantee you. Dario might not be involved, but he might be. I don't know. But, of course, there's one news that kind of broke just as I'm recording this, which will definitely be a big bummer. Democrat Richard Ojeda announces that he dropped out of the presidential race. Why, bro? Why? Well, he's given a reason why. His reasoning being that he cannot, in his goodwill, run for an office that he legitimately does not believe he's going to win. He doesn't believe he's going to win the presidential nomination. Newsflash, Ojeda. None of us thought you did. None of us thought you were going to. Nobody in their right mind believed that you were going to win. I mean, if we skipped the primary and then moved on to the general election between you and Donald Trump, then you'd win. But there was no way you were going to win the Democratic Party nomination. Because, well, you were going to lose all your votes to Bernie or Tulsi or Warren or even Andrew Yang, possibly. Because, well, they were the more big-name progressives. Well, maybe not Yang, but you know what I mean. Like, those people were the ones with the bigger names, aside from Yang. I mean, nobody legitimately thought you were going to win. And the point was, we were actually going to push you to be the vice presidential nominee when eventually Bernie wins. And you could have spent that entire time pushing for populist ideologies, like it would eventually have to boil down to Bernie. Let's just play the clip that I had when I did this. By the end of the election, at least through a good majority of the primary, we're gonna get to like 5, maybe more, but I'm gonna stick with 5 for this scenario. And those 5 will be Bernie Sanders, Richard Ojeda, another progressive, for the sake of this argument, I'll say Tulsi Gabbard, one corporate new person, for the sake of this, I'll say Kamala Harris, and one corporate old person, for the sake of this argument, I'll say Michael Bloomberg. I was expecting you to reach, like, the end line, and then by the end of it, you were gonna, like, drop out in favor of Bernie. But, you know, you were like, on second thought, I'm not gonna run. Sorry, folks, for getting your hopes up and getting you to spend your money on me. I mean, I like Ojeda, and hopefully what he has planned for the future will actually be inevitably good as well. But I don't think that it's going to be as good as him running for president. I mean, it would have been interesting to see Richard Ojeda on the debate stage. But, you know, those hopes are tarnished now. R.I.P. Ojeda 2020. But anyways, now on to another candidate that's running in 2020. And this time, it's a third-party candidate. This is a person that has been running for a while, and I'm going to give them a shout-out. Because that's what I do with these smaller guys. Bill Bays. He is currently the Prohibition Party candidate for president. He won it in the Prohibition Party convention that was done via Skype or something. And he is currently also running for the Constitution Party. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, obviously, he's a paleo-conservative who's also a prohibitionist. In fact, you know what? I'll just play a little bit of an interview that'll give you some bits about Bill Bays.
Republicans have become more like the Democrats. I've had several friends that say, it's really just one party, it's just 2 different branches. And I look at them and I go, well, you really got a point there.
So yeah, he considers the Republican Party too far left. No. Not quite. At least the Republicans know how to have a good time. I mean, to quote their favorite poster boy, I like beer, you know, beer tastes good. Have you ever had beer? But, that's just how it is. Now let's get into the actual main topic of the video, which is something that I didn't expect that I was going to ever do. I mean, I did eventually. I put them on the list of potential YouTubers or political people to do on my Thoughts on series, but I didn't expect it to be this person so early. And I mean, to be fair, I do kind of sometimes go, I don't know much about that person, so I'm just going to spin the wheel again and see if I get a different guy. But it didn't happen this time. Paul Joseph Watson. Paul Joseph Watson is an interesting person. For example, let's listen to some of Paul Joseph Watson's greatest hits.
Conservatism is the new counterculture. Oh, but there shouldn't be a stigma around depression anymore. That's mean. Yes, there should. Just as there should be a stigma around smoking and obesity. Even featured far-left personality Anna Kasparian.
Yeah. Let me go into a bit of history of who Paul Joseph Watson is for those of you who don't know who he is. Though I would assume you would at least somewhat know who he is because he's a rather popular guy with 1.5 million subs. Which, I mean, I guess it makes sense. Right-wingers and anti-SJWs always seem to have, like, a huge uprising because they're like, oh, they were so oppressed. Not really, but... Paul Joseph Watson is an English YouTube personality, radio host, writer, and conspiracy theorist. He has often been described as alt-right by media sources, although as of late July 2016, he called himself alt-right. He no longer accepts the label and now considers him a part of the New Right. The New Right was a while ago, actually. You should probably travel back in time. It was in like the 70s and 80s. Sorry, bro. But, let me explain a bit more about him. Watson's career emerged through his work for the conspiracy theorist and radio host Alex Jones. As editor-at-large of Jones' website, InfoWars.com, he helped promote fake news and conspiracy theories such as his claim that the 9/11 was an inside job, that the chemtrail conspiracy theory, the New World Order, and the Illuminati. Subsequently reaching a significant audience, both Watson and Jones altered their focus. Presently, their commentaries mainly focus on criticizing feminism, Islam, and left-wing politics. No, I'd still say Jones does a lot more of the stupid conspiracy nonsense. I mean, Paul Joseph Watson does a bit of that too, but, he's a little bit more focused on debunking the crazy leftists. If you're watching this, Paul, that was my terrible impression of you. I will admit you don't deserve that. Paul Joseph Watson used to identify as a libertarian, but he doesn't do so anymore ever since Gary Johnson's 2016 campaign.
The so-called libertarian supports Black Lives Matter, a group whose public platform has all the specific hallmarks of Marxism, the exact opposite of libertarianism. That's not libertarian.
Though much like Alex Jones, I would call Paul Joseph Watson more of a paleo-conservative, because later on in the same video, he goes on to criticize Johnson for supporting TPP, and criticize Johnson for wanting to admit Syrian refugees, which are two big points of paleo-conservatism, while many other points, libertarians and paleocons could agree a lot more. I think he'd be more like a Walter B. Jones type person. Paleo-conservative in some areas, libertarian in some areas, He supported candidates like Donald Trump and Marine Le Pen and Ron Paul, and has recently joined UKIP, the far-right, party in the UK that advocates for the UK to leave the EU. He's advocated for some strange right-wing policies like the war on Christmas. He's anti-Islam. He's labeled Muslim culture as horrific and has declared it's produced mass rape, Islamic ghettos, and the destruction of Western culture. Though you support Christianity, though, because none of those stuff ever happens in the Bible. And he threw a hissy fit when a cartoon or something. Yeah. In an educational cartoon, they put a black person in ancient Rome, and then he was like, oh my goodness, you're ethnically diversifying my Roman Empire. How dare you? But then historians were like, actually, yeah, there were some Africans in this time period, so this actually is historically accurate, and you're just making a big hissy fit over nothing. Yeah, Paul Joseph Watson seems to make a big deal about that. He always makes hissy fits out of nothing. But then again, right-wingers, when they actually they don't talk about actual issues. They just go, oh no, the left, the evil left, liberal leftists are ruining our culture. Insert reason why here. And it's usually always the gays, or the blacks, or the Jews, or the Muslims, or whatever. For some reason, they always seem to go, whenever, like, it's really strange. For some reason, they're always, because he tries to differentiate himself from the alt-right so much, because he always gets interlapped into the alt-right, which I wouldn't say he's alt-right. I mean, he doesn't say gas the Jews or something. That's Count Dankula. But haha, Count Dankula is also part of UKIP. That's why I mentioned Count Dankula. And also so I can put him in a tag and get money. Just kidding, I don't monetize my videos. If I did, I'd probably get demonetized on like 30 videos. But anyways, like, he's not, I wouldn't say Paul Joseph Watson's alt-right. Probably put him in the alt-light group. You know, the people that are like almost alt-right, but then whenever they go to the alt-right and they're alt-right's always like, yeah, gas the Jews. They're like, okay, let's not go too far. But they're always so keen on criticizing Islam. They're always like, Islam produces mass rape and evil. But then whenever someone says Jews do that, they're like, whoa, hold on, bro, you're being a little too offensive there. It's like, a bit of a double standard. You either say that whenever you say that about any culture, or none of them. Like, you don't get to be one religion and then criticize another one for being an archaic belief system, you know, because, well, you're a hypocrite if you do that. And he always seems to be like, I love Christian holidays, and we need to stop the war on Christmas. Christmas is keep the Christ in Christmas. People always you don't get to do that. You don't get to go, oh, this archaic religious belief is good, but this one, oh no. You can't believe in this one because this one has hats. I just called like turbans and stuff hats. I mean, they are. I mean, I guess technically, if me and Paul Joseph Watson were in a room and we were talking about Islam, we might agree on some base points, but he seems to be on the fence of like, we need to stop Islamic people from entering in here because they are all evil. And I'm like, why would you say that? Wouldn't it make much more sense to allow people to actually confront and talk about the ideas? And he's like, nope. We can't let those towel heads in here. To me, that's just how right-wingers seem to react whenever someone of another religious belief seems to want to enter their country. It's like, if they are a white Christian, they're allowed. But if they're not a white Christian, nope. No allowed in here. I don't get it. What is the big deal of a person of a different religious belief entering the country? There are Christians that enter the country all the time, and I don't go, we gotta stop importing Christians until we can figure out what the hell is going on. Am I right, folks? I don't say that to Jewish people. I don't discriminate against anybody for their religious beliefs. And I guess technically Paul Joseph Watson would say I don't either. But, I mean, you don't necessarily help your case when all you do is say this.
There's no such thing as moderate Islam. Islam is a violent, intolerant religion, which in its current form has no place whatsoever in liberal Western democracies.
Yeah, I would say that there is such a thing as moderate Islam, much like in the same way there is a moderate Christian. I've known Muslim people not my entire life. I mean, ever since I entered high school, I started getting to know Muslim people. And then again, Paul Joseph Watson say, well, that's because they started immigrating here at that time. I mean, they're nice people. I never met a Muslim person that was like, excuse me, I want to cut off your head so I can praise Allah. Is that cool with you? And I never met one that was like running in with a backpack, throwing it in, and then running away. I never met someone who was like, Allahu Akbar. I never met a Muslim that was like that. All the Muslims I met were like, granted, all the Muslims I've met are women. You might, and I haven't met, and not all of them wear burqas. I seen two with burqas, but not burqas, niqabs. I think that's the one. No, I think one of them had a real burqa, but one of them had a niqab. You know, the one that everyone always says is a burqa, but is not really a burqa. But, much like in the same way, a moderate Christian would be someone who believes in Jesus, but doesn't go to church. There are people who take the religion to the extremes. They're the one, like for Christians, they have the ones that wear the helmets and the Red Cross, and then run and fight Islam in the Crusades. And then we also have for Muslims, we have the ones that put on the backpacks and then on the Boston Marathon. But, we have people of moderate religious beliefs. Well, I haven't seen an atheist extremist. Maybe that's the key. Ooh. But, he seems to be of the impression that everybody who celebrates, everybody who's a Muslim is like Osama bin Laden in disguise. But, it's really weird. And it's just commonplace for right-wingers on YouTube to espouse anti-Islamic stuff. Criticizing Islam is one thing, but then saying that all of Islam, not all of Islam, all Muslims are evil is another thing. And now he literally said, and I know he might have wiggle room. He'll be like, oh no, I didn't say all Muslims are bad. I said all Islam is bad. But remember, his argument was that there is no moderate Islam. And I didn't show you all of the clip, but at the beginning of the video, he explains how terrorist groups, they aren't radical Islamists. They're just normal Islamists. And it's kind of why I think, there was just one reason, for some reason, people were, cheering for, Paul Joseph Watson at one point, for some unknown reason. Well, there was a reason. During a thing with, let me play one thing that made people on the left actually like him.
Could turn out to be, it wasn't left-wing, it wasn't right-wing, it wasn't an Islamic terrorist, it was just a mindless act of evil. It does happen sometimes where you just get mentally deranged people who are hopped up on whatever SSRI drugs. The Batman shooter, he claimed he was motivated by a movie. All right, let me stop you. He wanted to become the Joker. Let me stop you.
We've got breaking news here, Paul Watson. That's absolutely critical, absolutely key. I have gotten this. No cameras, please, guys. No cameras. This is from a law enforcement source, and the information is the news is lying. FBI HRT did the hit on the guy, and they found Antifa information in the room and photos of the woman in the Middle East. So he did not kill himself. The FBI hostage rescue team killed him because he was firing on them. So he did not want to be taken alive, and reportedly he did it. And it was Antifa crap everywhere. And other things I'm not supposed to mention. That is directly from the hostage rescue team, by the way, Paul. And I'm going to delete this information now. Keep going.
Well, obviously, that's huge. That's huge if it turns out to be true.
Yeah, hey, Paul, this is from high-level CIA. Right here. It's directly from, and this is from the hostage rescue team. You know I don't make sources up. Go ahead.
No, all I'm saying is that I'm going on the information I have, and I don't know.
No, absolutely. I'm just saying this is big breaking news. This is huge. In fact, you go ahead and take over the next 4 minutes. You host. I'm going to run in here and get with the writers. Go.
Okay, that was the thing. Alex Jones was trying to propose a crazy conspiracy theory about the Vegas shooting, But then Paul Joseph Watson was like, I don't necessarily believe that. The end. There's nothing more. He didn't debunk Alex Jones. He wasn't like, Alex Jones, that is a no-no. But he was like, I don't necessarily believe that. I don't know if that's 100% true. I'm going off the information I have, and my information does not have what you just said. I mean, to be fair, I guess technically, like, let's say if I was a Young Turks member and then Cenk said something, would I necessarily go up to Cenk Uygur and say, you're fucking stupid? Probably not. I mean, I guess technically that's what Paul Joseph Watson was doing with Alex Jones. He didn't want to just say, like, outright, you're stupid. But he wanted people to at least know he didn't necessarily buy what Alex was selling. Speaking of which, what you can buy that Alex Jones is selling is, I forget what he sells. Wow, I was setting myself up for a bit, and literally that didn't work out as planned. But yeah, a lot of people on the left really seem to like when Paul Joseph Watson did that. TJ Kirk even said, like, that's kind of why I respect Paul Joseph Watson. And I'm like, you respect Paul Joseph Watson? I mean, that doesn't necessarily bode for respect. Maybe he respected him for a different reason. I don't know. It's not that I disrespect Paul Joseph Watson. It's just that I don't really like him. But then again, technically, you can say, like, well, his content isn't for you. It's for right-wingers. Fair point. I mean, that's all I really gotta say about that. But even, like, Psycho Talk was saying how it was, like, a really good thing that Paul Joseph Watson was doing this. And I'm like, you're praising him over pretty much nothing. And I haven't even seen, like, Paul Joseph Watson do the same in reverse. There have been a lot of times where Young Turks have actually spoke out in favor of Alex Jones. Jimmy Dore has outright said that Alex Jones should not have been banned from YouTube. I don't think Alex Jones should have been banned from YouTube. But I mean, whatever. It happened. By the way, whenever I do an Alex Jones episode, that's going to be probably going to get demonetized, even though I don't even have monetization, or get taken down. Hopefully it does not get taken down. But anyways, I guess that's technically all I got to say about Paul Joseph Watson. Overall, I mean, I don't like him, and I think he spews a lot of nonsense. But he is, I guess, kind of entertaining. He puts decent amount of time and effort into his videos, I'd say that. There are probably some conservative YouTubers that like more than him, but, you know, he's probably got to dump a lot of the conspiracy stuff, which he does do a lot of conspiracy stuff. Like, he's talking about how depression isn't real, but then made another video saying how depression is real, and, you know, a bunch of anti-Islam stuff. But, I mean, otherwise, and he's, like, spread a lot of rumors about Hillary Clinton, which I don't necessarily disagree with. I mean, it's possible that Hillary Clinton could have some illness, but, I mean, I don't know. I'm not Hillary Clinton's doctor. I haven't examined her. But anyways, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that bell to be notified when a future video of mine comes out. And if you're interested in more political content from me, you can go to my website or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Quora. Or you can check out my articles on the Independent Political Report. What are your thoughts on Paul Joseph Watson? Do you think he's good? Do you think he's bad? Do you think that he should come on my show? Probably not. But leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And Paul Joseph Watson, if you do want to come on my show, you're going to have to wait. I have a long line of people waiting to come on my show.